The Toyota Hilux has come into its 9th generation. You can see how we've parked it. You wouldn't dare to do it in most cars that you drive. That already tells you a lot about what this 4x4 pickup is like. So let's see what it can actually do in the real world. The Hilux is a good preview of what the next Fortuner will be like. So watch till the end as we tell you what it's like to drive, how the cabin feels, its features list, what you might use that bed for, and its off-road ability. Thankfully, that overall experience is still very similar, although of course there have been improvements. Now the 2.8 litre turbo diesel engine, not a lot has changed. It still makes the same 204 PS and 500 Newton meter that it does in the Fortuner, but it's noticeably quieter here now that some generational updates have been made. So the clatter isn't quite as apparent, and not a lot of vibrations actually filter into the cabin, and to be honest, it's quite a plush feeling. The engine feels very distantly in front of you, so that kind of, gives you a more premium feel. Unlike the Fortuner, the Hilux doesn't get the mild hybrid tech that does a bit more to smoothen out the power delivery. But NVH updates, changes to the motor and improvements in chassis rigidity have had a good effect. We did a short off-road course and some trail driving, but this wasn't really a challenge for the Hilux. Most of it was a breeze just in 4-wheel drive high. But on a grassy patch off track where we lost traction, switching it to 4 lows, all it took to drive out like nothing happened. You also get a rear diff locker that will come in handy over some serious off-roading. It's clear that the Hilux remains one of the toughest off-roaders around. Now of course you have this imposing kind of towering presence over everything else on the road, and that really gives you so much confidence. But otherwise it's typical Toyota 4x4 fare. Its engine is extremely unstressed. It's always got power through the rev band. You always have enough torque to get you out of any situation. Overtakes and so on are not really a problem. Over slower, smaller obstacles, you can feel that flex. You can just feel the traction on the ground. And then when you are on the road, on the highway, now on the everyday, you will notice that it's got a bit of that shimmy and the shake that you get in these ladder frame cars. And given that it's a pickup and there's really not much weight over the rear wheels and it's running a solid axle and leaf springs at the back, you sometimes when you're going faster on highways, say bumps and potholes on the highway, slightly quicker ones, you do feel like the rear not quite being in tandem with the front. The setup being there for the big payload capacity this pickup needs in other markets. But on a trail like this, which is not very challenging, but something you need at least an SUV for, this feels really, really at home. I mean, the ride is impressive. I really don't find it to be uncomfortable, aside from the swaying that all these ladder frame cars do. There's really not much to complain of. I do wish for slightly less kickback from the steering. It can sometimes just snap out of your hand, but the articulation that I'm getting through the ladder frame is enough to make me feel right at home. Sadly, the electric power steering has been given a miss for India, so there's quite a bit of heft through the steering at parking speeds. This does get quite light and fairly predictable at higher speeds, although there is a lot of kickback over broken patches that you need to be careful of. Now I'm in the Hilux, and immediately you'll see that this is a much more upmarket space from what it was earlier. It reminds me a lot of the FJ Land Cruiser that we saw some time ago at the Japan Mobility Show. And you really feel like you are in a car that costs as much as this one does, because you have soft materials all around. The major touch points are all soft around here, around here. The steering wheel is especially nice to hold. It reminds me of a lot from the Land Cruiser 300. So it has that high quality feel. As usual, this is a Toyota, so the build quality, the toughness is right up there. Even the grain of plastic, it's that typical Toyota feel, but done up to a higher degree. I also like how functional this interior is. All the buttons on the steering wheel are big, chunky. You can use it a lot. You can use it very easily on the move. And this panel here is also very functional. So when you're off-roading, for example, you can quickly change between the drive modes, the terrain modes, the transfer case and the diff lockers, and there is enough practicality. In contrast, this seems to be a global mid-spec trim brought to India, so there are some misses like the lack of powered and ventilated seats, climate control, electronic parking brake and the small 8-inch instrument cluster. For many Hilux buyers, these may not be a deal breaker, but given the pricing, you do feel like there could have been more value. Now you know that this is a body on frame car, so usually they suffer a bit when it comes to storage space, but not here. As you can see, I have space for a small bottle in the cup holder, so proper cup holders. I have a deep cubby here, which by the way has the usual 12-volt outlet and also a proper 2-pin AC plug. And there are a lot of places for knickknacks. Your keys, a cup holder here and a wireless charger here. You also get enough USB ports. The 8-inch driver's display may not look premium with its segmented side displays, but it's smartly laid out and easy to navigate on the move. The 12.3-inch touchscreen is the usual functional fare that you've also seen in the Camry and the Land Cruiser, so it doesn't pack a lot but gets the job done with its functions and layout. Now, with this being a proper pickup truck, of course, the second row seats is not of the highest priority. It's just something that you have to give you a little bit more of an everyday kind of usability to your truck. Now, as you can see, the seat back is quite upright. Now, that is probably the biggest thing that you'll have to live with. You can't really recline it and be properly comfortable, but for me at least, the thigh support is reasonably good. And again, with this being a ladder frame car, you will know that headroom is usually limited, and that is the case here. But yeah, this is best for the occasional use when you absolutely need to take 4 people. And you can again see that in the kind of amenities that are here. You just get the 2 Type-C chargers, but again, you do get some decent storage. You get hooks to say hold your groceries and so on. Even though the space is quite tight for a third passenger, I do get a third headrest. And I must say, with the windows being large and this large glass behind me, I'm not feeling especially claustrophobic. So in that sense, like, it's usable occasionally. You get 7 airbags, TPMS and a 360-degree camera, but there is no ADAS and some basic misses like no auto-dimming rear view mirror and no rear windscreen defogger, which we did notice while driving in the rains. The Hilux is a completely new look that is modern, aggressive, but still functional, considering this 4x4 is big at over 5.3 meters long. But let us know what you think about the styling in the comments. Now at this point, I would usually tell you what the boot space of a car or a 4x4 might be, but with Hilux that's definitely not the case, because this bed has a payload capacity of over a ton, so you can put a few hundred cement bags here if you wanted to. And I also like that it has this damped function, so you're not dropping things and it's just a bit easier to use. Now I'll try to get up. It's not for traveling but just for the fun of it. Let me see how you might feel climbing onto it, but it has like a waterproof liner, so it'll keep the metal body away from the elements. Prices for the Toyota Hilux start from Rs 32 lakh and go up to Rs 36.69 lakh. We do wish it was better equipped at this price, but we suspect that it's not really a problem for many of you. It has become more premium inside, drives quieter and better, and still gives you that feeling that you will be able to take on anything that comes your way, which has always been its appeal.